Tottenham have played 20 games and we've lost 10. We've played 20 games and we've only won 7. Yesterday was a better performance, but the damage is done. Get this manager out of the football club. The tactical change to take off Bergvall for Maddison when Brennan Johnson is absolutely stinking the joint up. Get this manager out. Enough's enough. The damage is done. 10 defeats now. Every single week I'm coming on here talking about a defeat. Lost to Chelsea, lost to Liverpool, drew with Wolves, lost to Forest, lost to Newcastle twice this season, lost to Bournemouth. But we beat Manchester City, so everything's rosy. Get this manager out and bring a manager in who can actually change games with tactical changes or actually change his style of play to suit the players he's got available. We're still going gung-ho with a back four at one point with Reguilon, with Spence, with Porro. Like, we didn't have an Archie Gray. We didn't have a centre-back on the pitch after the 60th minute, and we're still going gung-ho. Newcastle weren't great today. They didn't get out of first gear, but they didn't need to because they had a game plan and they stuck to it. We can talk about the referees being poor all we want, but I'm not here to make excuses about referees. I don't even think the Joelinton was a handball anyway. His arm's not high, it's by his side. Make sure you go down. Drop a like if you haven't already. It's another defeat. It's just really, really frustrating now. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel. 89% of everyone who watches the match reactions is not subscribed. So what are you waiting for? And this manager has to go for me. No if buts or maybes now. The damage is done. 10 defeats this Premier League season. And if results go against us this weekend, we could be sitting, look at it. Everyone's talking about Man United are in a relegation, laughing about it. We're 1 point above Man United. Look at our recent form in the Premier League. 1 win in our last 5, and that was against bottom of the league, Southampton. That's 1 win in our last 9 home games. That's 2 wins in all competition in our last 10. Relegation form. We're only 4 points above Crystal Palace, who are 15th. At what point now do you have to turn around and say, we need a change? And we get into the transfer market, and who's the first player we're linked with? We sign a backup goalkeeper. We don't need a backup goalkeeper. We just saw Brandon Austin with a good performance. But we're going to spend £10 million of a limited budget and have about 5 goalkeepers. Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman, Fraser Forster, Vicario, and this new goalkeeper. We're not looking at centre-backs, apparently, even though we had 4 full-backs playing in our back 4. We're not looking at forwards, even though we're starting a Premier League game with Timo Werner and Johnson as our wide players. And when it comes down to RANT POSTECOGLOU making a tactical change, he takes off Bergvall, who was the only player who could actually dribble with the ball. We saw it in the first half, that 55-yard ball carry, and you heard the stadium's reaction. It wasn't even a diabolical performance today, but we've lost 10 games. Newcastle beat us home and away, and we've got Liverpool in the cup and Arsenal up next. Then Everton away. We're not going to go to Everton and beat them. They're one of the best teams defensively in the league. They've had more clean sheets than I think Liverpool this season. At what point do we have to turn around now and say, this cannot continue? I've been saying this for weeks. The turning point for me was the Arsenal game. The fact that Arsenal don't have to be anywhere near their best and they still come, get a clean sheet and 3 points. And everyone said, Henry, you're negative. You're not a Spurs fan. We've lost 10 Premier League games out of 20. If we lose to Arsenal the next Premier League game, we've only won 7 of 21. The only teams in the league that have lost more games than us is Ipswich Town, Southampton, and Leicester. And we've only lost 1. We've not actually, tell a lie, we've lost the same amount of games currently as Ipswich Town. Isak wasn't even that great today. Gordon wasn't even that great today. But those are the 2 players which they're match winners. Dominic Solanke. Fair play. Dominic Solanke and Pedro Porro for me are the only players alongside Brandon Austin. Those 3. Brandon Austin. No, do you know what? Brandon Austin, Bergvall, Pedro Porro and Dominic Solanke for me are the only 4 players that can come off that pitch. Austin, Porro, Bergvall, and Solanke. Johnson absolutely stinks. Timo Werner stinks. Kulusevski, not that great today. Papamat-Sarr, not that great today. Spence giving the ball away. Archie Gray giving the ball away. Dragusin looks absolutely rusty. Okay, fair enough. There's an illness going through the camp. So if there's an illness, then what like, how cursed can you be? You've already got an injury crisis, and then the club gets struck with an illness. You know, look at the lineup we fielded. I don't want Ange Postecoglou to be sacked because we'll end up bringing in Ryan Mason, but surely there's a manager out there that could get more out of this squad. Son left on the bench today for Timo Werner. James Maddison left on the bench today. And when he does bring him on, he brings him on for the wrong player. Bergvall, out of those three in midfield, out of Kulu, Sarr, and himself, was the only player that got on the ball and run at players. And he subs him off. You know, the first goal, an exquisite ball in from Pedro Porro and a really good diving header into the back of the net by Dominic Solanke. He was really, really good today, Solanke. I'm not going to lie. You know, I look at him right now and I think he's starting to prove he's worth the price tag. That's his 11th goal this season. He's got 15 goal contributions already for Spurs. And we're still in 4 competitions. So he could quite easily get 25 the way we're playing. But, you know, fair play. Newcastle got an instant response. The ball strikes Joelinton's hand. I don't think it's a handball. We have seen that given. But you know how inconsistent these Premier League referees are. And unfortunately, it's not given. It goes straight into Gordon's path. And it's a lovely, lovely finish from him. And then, you know, the ball goes down Murphy's right-hand side. He puts it across, and Alexander Isak, who wasn't great today, still affects games, still gets on the back of the ball, and it's in the back of the net. And this is a Newcastle side that weren't at the races today. That they were good defensively, but they weren't the Newcastle side we have seen in recent weeks. And that's now 6 wins on the bounce for Newcastle. Looking at the match stats, it is pretty even. 13 shots against 14, 4 shots against 4. 58% possession against 42. Passing accuracy is very even. Corners are very even. It was an even game. The difference is in the final third, Newcastle have got match winners, and we've got Timo Werner and Brennan Johnson. And that's now 10 defeats for Spurs this season. You know, and we've got Arsenal, Liverpool in our next 2. And then we've got Everton and Leicester and Elfsborg this month. And then we go away to Brentford. I'll be honest, I'm not confident about any of it. Other than Tamworth, Hoffenheim, I don't, you know, we have to go there and win. I'm not confident. Everton away, we know how strong and resilient they can be. Arsenal will score 3 past us. Liverpool will score 4 past us. I'm not even confident against playing Leicester. This manager does not have a tactical bone in his body when it comes to changing games. And when he does make a change, it's always conveniently the wrong one. You know, and you look at recent weeks, couldn't beat Chelsea at home, couldn't beat Liverpool at home, couldn't beat Fulham at home, couldn't beat Wolves at home, couldn't beat Newcastle at home, couldn't beat Roma or Ipswich. 1 win in our last 9 home games in all competitions, which was against Manchester United. And that's 2 wins in 10 against Manchester United and Southampton. We've dropped points against Wolves, against Newcastle, against Ipswich, against Crystal Palace, against Galatasaray, against Fulham, against Rangers. At what point now do we have to turn around and look at, we're not going to go out there and spend the money in January. We know the way this hierarchy works, but something has got to change. We've got Liverpool and Arsenal, the 2 best teams in the country, up next. And we're going into those games with a back 4 potentially of Reguilon, Spence, Porro and Archie Gray. Destiny Udogi's out for 8 weeks. And the first bit of business we look at doing is bringing in a goalkeeper. Romero and Van der Ven are out until the end of the month. Mikey Moore, I'm not even sure why we're throwing a 17-year-old into the conversation, but of course we know he's talent, but we shouldn't have to be reliant on him. You know, and you look at the options off the bench today. I'm not exactly, this isn't all on Ange Postecoglou, but you look at the options on the bench other than Maddison and Son. You know, you've got 3 academy players down there. You know, why not last 10 minutes? Why not throw Will Lancashire on and just put everyone up front and just try and salvage a point out of this? But that doesn't go into this manager's head. He brings on Bissouma, who's been stinking it out for months. You know, we're at the point now where, look at it, you've got Malachi Hardy, Callum Latif Alusi, Alfie Dorrington, Will Lancashire, and Alfie Whiteman. 5 academy players, you know, and then you've got Reguilon, who has barely played in 18 months, Son, Bissouma, and Maddison. You look at their bench, Harvey Barnes is a bigger goal threat, than our front line at the moment. Joe Willock's a good player. Longstaff's a good player. Lloyd Kelly's a good centre-back. Louis Miley, Miggy Almiron. They've got a better bench than us. Newcastle weren't at the races today, but this team still scored 2 goals. And this team right now have won 6 on the bounce. Newcastle were under huge pressure at the start of the season, how they started, but now they are level on points with Chelsea. Newcastle have only lost 5 games all season. We have lost double that. Yes, we've scored 42 goals, but we've now conceded 30, which is more than Fulham, more than Bournemouth, more than Newcastle, City, Chelsea, Forest, Brighton, obviously Liverpool and Arsenal. We've conceded 4 more than Manchester United, 6 more than Everton. At what point do we turn around and say, these tactics can't be coached into these players, and he's got to change things up? I'm not saying go complete Conte ball and just throw everything at defending, but there needs to be a balance between defense and attack. And right now, we just don't have that. We're sitting here, 20 games played, and we've won 7. Arsenal up next. Let's just be honest. Arsenal are going to beat us at the Emirates. We all know it, which means we'd have won 7 of 21, which is 33% win record this season. Then we go away to Everton. I'll be honest, we will not beat Everton. Our away record is absolutely diabolical. Our away record. Lost to Forest, drew to Rangers, lost to Bournemouth, lost to Newcastle, lost to Galatasaray, lost to Palace, lost to Brighton. We're not going to go and beat Everton. You've got absolutely no chance. No chance. It's unacceptable. Something needs to change. If Daniel Levy's not prepared to go and give them the money, go and sack another manager who can try and get more out of these players. The turning point will be when we get stuffed to both Liverpool and Arsenal. Mark my words, that will happen. I'm out. I can't be bothered to speak about this football club anymore. It's driving me insane.